All right, beloved. Want to give you all time to come in. Ah, hey, Amy, we missed you too. All right, I'm giving you all time to come in. Come on in. Come on in. Come on in. Do me a favor. Do what I'm about to do. Actually, I am about to share this live. Let me just get my lighting the way I want it. And actually, I actually need to look up something. I'm trying to find something that's going to help us today. I know I'm distracted. I should have found this before you all, but I did not have time. Um, Let me try this and then I'm ready. So, I actually today want to talk about a current event. All right, let's try this. Let's try this. I think I can find it here, y'all. For those of you who've seen the title, you probably know what current event I'm trying to find. Let me think I'll be able to find it here. It may not be as okay. All right, all right, all right. Well, let me say hello to you all. Welcome, welcome, welcome to our community check-in. Today, I want to talk about a current event. Many of you may have seen the video with King Harris, T.I., who's a rapper. His son got into it. Him and his dad, T.I., and King Harris got into it about him being hood. About I think T.I. told his son he was not hood. His son took offense, and then it became a long discussion about hood. Now, we're going to watch the video so that you have context, because I know some of y'all really are into current events like that, so you're going to need the context. There might be foul language. You all don't be too holy for this. Don't act like it's the first time you ever heard somebody curse. But before we do that, let's get into our check-in. Let's say our hellos. And before we get deeply into our hellos, please do me a favor as we get started into this check-in. Take a moment to like and share. We're going to do our check-in as we usually do. We're going to do greetings. We're going to have a question of the day. And as you answer the question of the day, I'm going to take prayer requests. Then we're going to get into this word, which is my reflections on the latest episode between King Harris and T.I. So let me do what I'm asking you all to do and like and share. And then we'll get down to business. We'll get down to business. Thank those of you who've already liked. Thank those of you who are already sharing. We are talking about King Harris today. Check in with me. All right. So now we've shared, and let's get down to business. Let's say hello. Let's say hello to all of you who are checking in at this moment. Hey, Amy. Amy's been in swim lessons, y'all. Now she left us to go swim, but the good news is she's back. And if she falls in a pool in the middle of this check-in, she can swim her way out. Good to see you. Good to see you, Tamika. Love the picture compilation you had from Thanksgiving in Destin. Loved it. Amy, again, is on YouTube and on Facebook. Good afternoon to you, Michelle Gordon. It's good to see you. Dr. Evelyn Ellis, good to see you. If you're coming in with us right now, at least drop a hello, even if you're not going to stay. Okay, wait a minute. Making memories and more memories of Robinson and Tamika Robinson. Okay, well, maybe there's another Robinson. Hello to the Making Memories and to Tamika. It's good to see you. Gerard Johnson, good afternoon to you. Great to have you and great to see you today. Margaret White Darby out of New Orleans, good to see you, and I'm doing well. Deacon Burton, it's great to see you, and I get your prayer request for Gloria Robinson and Carolyn Merritt. Tracy Dawson, all the way from California, blessings on you and blessings to you. Gloria Martin, great to see you today. This is Gloria. Amy Cowherd asked about you, Gloria, and I've got to make sure you all are able to meet. Yeah, Yolanda Ellis Taylor, it's great to see you. Okay, Tamika, thank you so much. And Jane Powell, so good to see you today. We've got to get to business, y'all. We've got to get down to business. King Harris is standing on business, and we got to get down to business. There we go. I knew this light wasn't white enough. All right. Let's go ahead and jump into our question of the day. If I have not said welcome to Community Check-In, let me throw that up really quick. Welcome to Community Check-In. Michelle Gordon, thank you so much for your prayer list. Here it is. Really easy question. What is the biggest lesson you attribute to your parents teaching you? Think about your parents. Now, I have a lesson from each of mine. So if you want to give the lesson from your dad, lesson from your mom, you can give 2 different lessons. Or if there was one lesson that your parents, in coordination and cooperation and collaboration with each other, gave you, then you can feel free to tell me the lesson from both of your parents. So your choice, but let me know. Let me know how you are. Let me know what is the biggest lesson that you attribute to your parents teaching you. We're running fast. I want to get into this word today. And so While you all are answering this question, I'm about to get into our I'm about to get into our prayer request. So go ahead and go into the comments. Um, and let me know. All right. What is the biggest lesson you attribute to your parents teaching you? What is the big, when you think about your parents raising you, what is the biggest lesson? I need one thing from each. And I'll start as you all think about it. And I want you to go into the comments and come into the comments and let me know what you think and how you feel. But the biggest lesson, I'm going to talk about my dad. The biggest lesson my dad taught me, he taught me just by example. He taught me so many, but here's the one. And that is, he taught me conviction. My father growing up was a very convicted man. I really believe this. I believe it was one of his greatest strengths. But conviction as a weakness looks like stubbornness. And so I believe my dad's conviction was also one of his greatest weaknesses. So often, our biggest vices and our biggest virtues are one in the same, just on opposite extremes. Someone's virtue can be passionate, someone's vice can be anger. It can be from that same place in them. My dad's one of his virtues was conviction. One of his vices was being stubborn. But that's just who he was. But it taught me a great deal about standing for what you believe and standing on what you believe. That's one of the biggest lessons that my dad taught you. If you're if you're here today, go into the comments and let me know what is the biggest lesson you attribute to your parents teaching you. And y'all, Christianity and love of God will be an easy one. So of course my parents instilled in me the love of God and love of Jesus and the church and commitment to faith. But I'm going with something that's not so obvious. So my dad, I believe when I think about my dad taught me conviction. My mom taught me self-critical, the ability to self-critique. My mom taught me about being self-critical. One of the things I love about my mom, and it can be hard at times, my mother was one of those that whenever I got into it with someone or whenever I thought there was a problem, my mom was good. My mom was good to ask me always, no matter what happened. If I got into it with my teacher and I felt my teacher was being mean or being wrong or treating me in a way that I felt was unjust, my mom would always ask, Bashan, how did you contribute to the conflict? You know, if I got in trouble, my mom was quick to say, now I know the teacher didn't just start yelling at you for nothing. So what did you do? And so that was really, really, really big in my house. The question of what did you do? How did you contribute to a situation? And so I grew up as I got older, learning to ask myself when I began to reflect on things. Um, when I began to reflect on situations, and even to this day, when I get into it with anyone, when someone disagrees with me, when someone has a problem with me, because of the upbringing of my mother, I am quick and I am natural. It's natural for me to try to reflect on how I may have um, contributed to the dilemma or the confrontation. So, my dad taught me conviction. My mom taught me self critique. But of course, like all of our parents, I'm sure they taught me a lot, but I'm trying to model the ability to answer the question the way I asked it. So, those are the two things that maybe next week, if I was asked again, I'd have another one. But my dad taught me conviction. My mom taught me self critique. What is the biggest lesson you attribute to your parents teaching you? Come into the comments and let me know. Evelyn Ellis out of Vermont says, they both taught me by role modeling the lessons. Work hard all the time. Now, Evelyn, you know this is three, but we're going to give it to you anyway. Work hard all the time. Pray and take care of your brothers and sisters. All right, I love that. Work hard, pray, take care of your brothers and sisters. That's a sermon. Work hard, pray, and take care of your brothers and sisters. Evelyn, if you ever hear that sermon, just say amen, like how you hearing it for the first time, and just know that even though I never met your parents blessed me and gave me a lesson and helped me preach my sermon. Deacon Burton, for those of you who are coming in, the question is, what is the biggest lesson you attribute to your parents teaching you? Deacon Burton, my parents taught me the importance of being kind and giving. My mother taught us to always acknowledge invitations. Okay, I love that. What a great lesson. What a great lesson. We're answering this question. If you've not gone to the comments, go ahead and let me know. What is the biggest lesson you attribute to your parents teaching you? What is the biggest lesson? When you think about all the lessons your parents taught you, what is the one that stands out the most? Michelle Gordon out of Augusta, Georgia says, both taught me integrity. Always being honest no matter what. I like it. I like it. I like it. I'll go with it. I like it. I like it. I like it. Yolanda Ellis Taylor says, my dear, keep my business to yourself. Okay. Y'all, these are some great lessons. These are some great lessons that our parents have taught us. Amy Coward said, my mom taught me to speak up for myself because closed mouths don't get fed. The squeaky wheel gets the oil. Don't expect anyone to read your mind. Those are different ways of saying the same lesson. And I think that's a powerful lesson. I think that's a powerful lesson, to speak up, to communicate what you feel. That would help many of our relationships so much. Do you realize that one of the number one deterrent and one of the number one destroyers of relationships is uncommunicated expectations? Uncommunicated feelings, uncommunicated expectations destroys relationships. So thank you, Mama Cowherd, for the lesson that you gave. All right, beloved. I like this. I've never met my father, so I will have to give my grandmother, who taught me the most important thing in life: love God's way. My God, what a powerful lesson. That's 3 powerful words. Love God's way. Y'all, that's deep. That is deep. That is helpful. That's helpful. And that is profound. Love God's way. I like it. I like it. I like it. All right, beloved. Let's get into this word. I think to appropriately introduce today's topic, I need to show you a video. And so I want to show you this video of King. Now, if this is not the right video, you might need to give me time. Before I do, though, I got another answer. My mom taught me to be of service to those who need it, regardless of what you think of the person. If you see it needs to be done, do it. I love this lesson. Margaret White Darby says, I was fortunate enough to be raised by my grandparents. Biggest lessons my grandfather taught me was to be humble, honest, and stay focused on my goals, no matter how high, because with God, all things are possible. That's about 4 lessons, Margaret White Darby. You and Evelyn Ellis got taught a lot by your parents. I understand them. I enjoy them. Humility, honesty, focus, and no matter how high, because with God, all things are possible. That's 4 things. I like it. But we are going to get into our word today, and to appropriately get into our word, I've got to show you a video to bring you up to speed. Many of you saw on Sunday, T.I., who is a rapper, got into it with his son, King, about his hood credentials. That's basically what we're going to go to the video, and let's see. All right, let me see. Okay, I'm going to open my screen like this, and
Have you ever woke up with a roach in your ear? Y'all want to go to...
Have you ever woke up with a roach on your face?
Here. No, that's not the goal.
All right, then. So there it goes.
Or in your ear. Or in your ear.
In the neighborhood with me that broke
Have you ever
up
woke up with a roach in your ear?
Y'all want to go to the bando in my neighborhood? Do y'all want to go to the bando? Do y'all want to go to the bando?
First off, I can't understand nothing that he's saying. I can't understand nothing that he's saying. This is horrible. 18 years of private school.
All right.
18 years of private.
Let's see if he gets back into the video. Okay, here we go. We're getting back into the video around now.
About a year. Yeah, it's been a year now. Yeah. So for this last visit, and it changed my whole life, man.
Oh my goodness.
That's why I want to be over there. But they don't understand that.
No, I'm gonna tell you the reason why he want to be over there. Y'all ready? Cause he can suck and pacify over there. Till he was 12 years old. He was sucking pacify till he was 12 years old. He didn't do that in the house. Yeah.
They trying to say I was over there trying to second pass it.
All right, y'all. This is the best video I could get. So let me go in here and let me see when he plays it again. Here we go. Looks like he's about to push play again.
Stand on business. He know.
He capping. He know his mouth.
He capping. He capping. Hey. He know I stand on business. He know.
He capping. He know.
Y'all, I could not find a video on YouTube, and that's the only way I can share my screen with this whole video. So we are kind of just working through together to see the video itself.
The world, I'm gonna put it out there for them to see. I wouldn't put up nowhere. You ain't had me put up nowhere. Like you ain't had me behind the mansion. I was outside doing what I wanted to do.
If he couldn't handle this, he damn sure ain't ready to run them streets. Oh no. Oh no.
You was behind that till you cried.
No, I got too much to drink. I drunk too much. Let's go. Now get mad because we say the South ain't the suburbs. Then he want to talk about some other like this being sick. Just being sick. No, I'm being real. You lying. You over here flagging. You're capping. You capping. I know you.
Now I ain't gonna lie. Listen.
All right, we're still trying to move through the commentary. I just want you all to see the video. Here we go. I think it's about to start again.
I know you.
Shut up.
I know you.
Ain't no mystery about here.
I know you though. I know you though. I know you. What's wrong with y'all? Why y'all doing that to me? Y'all know me. You know I stand on business.
All right, y'all. We almost at the end. Let's see when they start the video again. Here we go. I think I'm gonna kind of give a review.
Why you even letting somebody play with me like that? Why you letting somebody play with me like that? Why you letting him play with me like that? Why you letting?
Okay, yeah, we seen the rest. Well,
okay. Let's stop sharing. Let's go here. All right. Now let me kind of explain to those of you who don't know. Good to see you, Lisa. Great to see you, Makia Sturkey. If you've not seen this video, kind of let me give you my synopsis of it. But I wanted you to see the video itself so you can get the feel of the intensity and the irritation and the struggle. What's going on here, for those who don't know the characters, that was Tiny, that was T.I. in the background, but that's their son, King. King Harris, at some point, someone in the video told him he was not hood. And I think it started off, they were joking and they were playing. But King got upset about this idea that they were telling him he was not hood. And the argument came out of him saying that he did not grow up in the gated community where T.I. stayed. Of course, T.I. became a rapper. He's rich. He had a big house. And let me say this. I know this for a fact. T.I. and Tiny didn't always actually stay in a gated community. They did stay in a big house, but they did not always stay in a gated community. But King is trying to distance himself from his rich upbringing. And his argument is he was raised by his grandmother and he was outside more in the hood. I think I don't know all the facts about where his grandmother stays, but I think I read on Twitter or something like that she stays somewhere off Martin Luther King. The point is, though, you see a huge argument ensues where T.I. and his mom are basically telling King, you are not hood. You grew up with money. You grew up with resources. You grew up with privileges. And King is arguing about the idea that he's arguing that he did grow up in the hood, that he was with his grandmother, and he was saying that he can be thrown in any hood. He's going to stand on business. Now, if any of y'all have not heard stand on business, all that means is that he's going to stand up for himself. He's going to stand up for his principles. He's going to not cower to people in the neighborhood. But King was saying over and over again, you drop me in any hood and I stand on business. And he was frustrated because he felt like his parents were diminishing his hood credibility. They get into a huge argument. Next thing you know, T.I. and his son get into somewhat of a physical confrontation, and T.I. puts him in the headlock, and he says, look, now, you know you can't do nothing with me. And it gets really, really, really heated, and it gets to be a hot topic. Now, everybody has been responding to this whole King Harris and T.I. debate. Many people have been frustrated about the audacity of a child who basically is complaining about having a good upbringing or a rich upbringing or having resources and privilege. And people have made fun of King about his looks. They've argued. Many people have gone. Many celebrities have commented publicly on their own social media about this instance. So, of course, it drew me to reflection. And I wanted to give some of my thoughts about what has happened here. Now, let me say this. It would be easy, y'all. The easy route for me would be to jump on and pile on and talk about how King is being ungrateful and bash him as so many people have, and talk about how he's being ridiculous and deride him and be derisive about this kid who, there are two sides to this story, right? Yes, the truth of the matter is, from what I understand, that people who knew him and knew their family, he did grow up more with his grandmother. He and I think another one of their kids was raised more on an everyday basis at his grandmother's house. And yes, even though he was at his grandmother's house, because he grew up as T.I.'s son, he was afforded resources that people in the hood do not have. He has been afforded trips that people in the hood can't afford to take. He has been afforded privileges and resources that others do not have. I like this. Money did not mean you aren't hood. Money did not buy class. I just can't with these ratchet shows entitled. Now, this is not a show, though, Lisa. This was just, he was on Instagram Live while they were at the Falcons game. Here's what I want to say. What you have here, I believe, is what you have so often when we are mystified by the reality of athletes and entertainers who do not divorce themselves from a, for lack of better terms, hood mindset. You know, we run into athletes who make millions of dollars being an athlete, but get caught with drugs or selling guns. And you're like, why, when you have such a beautiful and successful financial career, would you stick with hanging with old friends and being in the drug game and doing gang stuff? Many of you remember Aaron Hernandez, I believe that was his name, for the New England Patriots, who died in prison from suicide. But you remember he was up for multiple homicides. And so many people asked the question, why? A man who had just signed an $80 million contract, why would you still engage in these hood and these violent and these criminal antics and actions? I want to give an answer, and I want this King issue to serve, as I always do, as a mirror to us reflect on our own best selves. Why do people stick, and here's the question, to values that do not benefit them? Why? Let me tell you why. Because values are something it's hard to pull yourself away from. Whether your values are good, whether your values are bad, the values that are instilled in us by our neighborhoods, by our upbringing, by our parents, by our churches, are hard to divorce ourselves from when we get old. Even the Bible says, train up a child in the way they should go, and when they are old, they will not depart from it. What I understand the Bible to understand is that when we continue to instill and install values in us, in people, it's hard for people to divorce themselves from those values when they get old. The problem with some values is, and you need to hear me today, all values do not benefit us. If you're writing notes, you need to write that down. That's the first lesson. That's the first point I want to make about this. We need to understand that there are many of us who stick with values that do not benefit us. And here's the truth of the matter. So many of our black children, so many of our black boys, so many of our black women grow up valuing hood credibility. You all, I was a boy that grew up in the suburbs of Dallas, Texas. I've never really lived in the out and out hood. Now in Austin, I didn't live in the richest neighborhood, but I don't consider myself ever to have grown up in the hood. I've always been close enough to the hood to know hood things, but I've never myself grown up in the hood. But as a black boy, I know what it is to want to feel like people will respect my ability to hold my own in the hood. When I went to Morehouse, here we were getting our college education. I cannot tell you how many men, young men, who went to private school and public school alike, who probably made A's and in their neighborhoods, but were from cities and sometimes hoods like New York, Chicago, Detroit, who when we got to college, even at a school that is about academics and that is about success and that is about growing up and handling your business, I cannot tell you how often, even at Morehouse College and at colleges all around the nation, black boys were posturing and gesturing to try to prove they had hood credibility. For better or for worse, if you've grown up in black culture, especially 80s, 90s, and above, you know what it means for black young boys and young black men to value hood credibility. Now let's talk about King Harris. To T.I.'s credit, I do believe that T.I. wants to instill something in his kid that transcends hood. But here's what we have to understand, beloved. T.I. in some ways has gotten rich off rapping about his hood credibility. Now place yourself in the shoes of his son King. You have a father who is the prize of his family, at least by material and fame standards. You have this father who is the prize of his family and who is known all over the world because he has gotten famous in part by rapping about his hood credibility. What child would not want to be like his father? If this child has seen his father get acclaim, get fame, get money, get riches by establishing himself as growing up off Bankhead and being true to the hood and being able to hold his own in the hood, then of course his son would want to value being hood himself. I want to act with some sympathy to King because it makes all the sense in the world to me that he would want to establish himself as having hood credibility. Y'all, it's easy to demonize this child. It's easy to talk about this child. It's easy to carp and criticize this child. But I think we do better doing two things. First of all, having sympathy about why he is where he is. All of us who've grown up in Black culture know what it means that Black culture, men and women alike, value hood credibility. Yeah, my child goes to Woodward Academy, private school of private schools. And guess what those Black boys value? Some of them living in mansions. Some of their parents making 6 figures and 7 figures, but they still value hood credibility. What I am suggesting is that value has destroyed so many young, successful lives. How many football players and basketball players' lives have been derailed and destroyed when they had all the financial means to make a great life for themselves because they could not get out and divorce themselves from the values of the hood? The easy thing in this would be able to look at them and see their mistakes. But I want us to take it a step further. Because here's what I want to argue, Evelyn Ellis. All of us have some values we grew up with that do not benefit us. All of us have some values that we grew up with that do not benefit us. Can I talk to you for a little while and we're going to pray? Listen, here's a value that many of us grew up with that does not benefit us. Sexism. Many of us grew up in cultures. If you grew up in Black cultures, y'all, if y'all grew up in Black church culture, you grew up in a culture that teaches us by either example or sometimes by word that women are less deserving than men, less deserving to lead, less deserving to preach, less deserving to pastor. And if you're honest, I'm talking to someone today who had a hard time accepting women preachers because it was hard for you to divorce yourself from a value that does not benefit you. Can I talk to you today? How many of us are taught to value material possessions? Do you know how many Black people are in debt? Do you know how many Black people? That's a good one, Lisa. While you're here, let me lift that up. Colorism. How many of us were taught to value that light skin look better than dark skin? My grandmother, God bless her soul. I love my grandmother, Danny Mae. But you know what my grandmother decided? My grandmother intentionally married a light-skinned man because in her mind, she wanted to have good-looking children. What I'm asking you today is, how many of us hold on to values that do not benefit you? Do you know how many women I know who are smart, intelligent, great women who continue to struggle picking men because growing up, they learned to value men with hood credibility? Then, when they get older, they find men who are responsible. They find men who make good money. They find men who make good jobs. You know how many women I say, yeah, but I just couldn't get into him because he was too nice. All of us know what it feels like to hold on to values that do not benefit us. And today, that's what I want to push. Part of what I believe spiritual growth is, and I'll leave y'all alone, is growing into values that benefit us and growing out of values that don't. Some of us value keeping it real and getting angry and telling people off. Y'all, after a certain age, getting into violent conflicts do not benefit us. But some of us live our whole lives holding on to values that do not benefit us. The easy thing to do when looking at King and T.I. is to scold and to scorn this young man for holding on to a value, being hood, that really doesn't benefit him. But when we look at him, we should always use people as a mirror to see what's in us. You would be more benefited if you ask yourself, what values am I holding on to that don't benefit me? Are there any young men and men out here who are holding on to the value of having multiple women and that defining our masculinity? Are there people out here who are holding on to the value that white is better than black, and black people continuing to live out, to establish and to substantiate white supremacy in our own homes, in our own institutions, in our own families? Are you holding on to the values that materialism and financial wealth defines our identity? And so some of us are going broke, trying to drive like we got money, trying to dress like we got money, when we know we're financially struggling. What values are we holding on to that do not benefit us? So today, when we look at these current events, let's use people as a mirror to live better, to learn better, and to love better. Every head bowed, every eye closed, every heart praying. God, today we love you, we honor you, we bless you today. And today, God, I want to ask you to help us to find values that benefit us, to find values that bless us, to find values that help us. God, the truth of the matter is, there are certain things that have been instilled and indoctrinated in us that don't make us better people, but make us worse. There are certain things that have been instilled and indoctrinated in us that don't make us more loving, they make us more hateful. There are certain things that have been instilled and indoctrinated in us that don't make us build relationships, but help us tear them down. Today, God, my prayer for every person listening to this live, today, my prayer for every person being present in this check-in is that you would help us hold on to values that bless us, but also, God, help us to let go of values that hurt us. There are certain things, God, that we believe in. There are certain ways that we believe in acting. There are certain things that we believe in striving for that are not helpful to us, that do not help us become our best selves. Help us to let those go today, God. That's my prayer for every man and for every woman. That's my prayer today for every girl and for every boy. That's my prayer for every person that listens to this live. I pray, God, that you would help us to observe and find better and more wholesome values. Today, God, I want to pray for those who people have called and asked for prayer. I want to pray, God, for Jamal Davis and Lexi Guidry, Tia Howard and Dina Self. I want to pray for Antonio and Walter Cowherd, Tian and Tiana Cowherd, Ulysses Harris and Boyd Harris. I want to pray for Amy Cowherd and the family of Ulysses Harris. I want to pray for Valeria and family, Leon Martin, Sean Lewis, Ayana Shankar, China, and Daryl Palmer. Raiden Matthews, Dee Dee Holmes, Wickfall and family, Felicia and Allison Holmes, Gloria Robinson, Anaya Fielding, Erica Fielding, Robert Frazier, Chris Frazier, Archie and Audrey Davis, Arthur Risper Jr., Javante, Cynthia and Brian Risper, Therese Davis and Denise McNeil and their families, Peyton Noah, Nash Parrish, Retrende Manyweather and family, Lakia Jones, Kelly Meadows, Michael Meadows, Brian Gordon, Michelle Gordon, Gloria Robinson, Carolyn Merritt. Today, God, I'm praying for Janie Anderson. I'm praying for Olivia Thompson, Quanda White, Tanisha Davis, Miko Graham, Keandria Timmons, Haley Butcher, Craig Epps, Joy Treadwell, Julie Huang, Ruthie Prophet, Patty and Patricia Perry, Tracy Blackwell, James Walker, and Heather Manley. For every name that I've called, God, I pray that you would give special attention. To those who need healing, I pray that you would heal them. For those who need comforting, I pray that you would comfort them. For those that need lifting, I pray that you would lift them. And then, God, I pray that you would continue to fill us with gratitude. Gratitude that acts, gratitude that verbalizes, gratitude that expresses, gratitude that demonstrates. God, we love you. We thank you. And we promise to commit our lives to giving you the glory and the praise in our word and in our deed. This is our prayer. In the liberating, loving, and life-giving name of Jesus. Amen, amen, amen. Hi, beloved. Thank you so much for joining our check-in today. I hope something that has been said has been helpful for you as you go along your way. As we go to our many different destinations, I'll see you all Thursday, same time, same place. But as we go to our many different destinations, I want to touch and agree. And so I'm touching and agreeing with you, Michelle Gordon. I'm touching and agreeing with you, Dina and Lisa. I'm touching and agreeing with you, Deacon Patricia Burton. I'm touching and agreeing with you. Thank you so much, Evelyn Ellis. And I agree with you. May we leave our oppressors' ways behind. Yolanda Ellis, I'm touching and agreeing with you. Tamika Robertson, I am touching and agreeing with you. Amy Cowherd, I'm touching and agreeing with you. Dina, I'm glad you caught some of it. I'm touching and agreeing with you. Jane Powell, good to see you. And I'm touching and agreeing with you. May God bless each and every one of you. May God keep each and every one of you. And please remember to live in love. You all have a great day.